Ed Morris, welcome to Behind the Billboard.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you coming out on this filthy day. Weather-wise, yeah.
Pissing with rain outside.
Yeah. So we always... we do the nice bit at the beginning before this, saying all the amazing things you've done, so don't worry. We are going to say some great things before but we just want to ask how you are, how I are today, and what you're up to at the moment. What projects are you doing? Anything exciting?
Yeah, I'm good. Life is good at the moment. I'm directing is busy, really busy in a lot of ways. I mean, ads. I'm shooting something at the moment for The Corner, which is that's come out really nice, and it's been touch wood. It's been a lovely sort of process. Agency client.
Is that through? Who are you shooting through at the moment?
It's through Riff Raffs.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Riff Raffs, it's great. Life at Riff Raff is great.
Good.
It's a really cool place, and the team there are really good, and the work's coming in. Which is nice.
And do you get on a bit of a roll of right? We're doing commercials now. Then are you busy writing maybe another script for a film? Are you just constantly doing stuff, or do you go, no, that's it, I'm in the zone of this one, I just want to do this?
I sort of like to have two or three things on the go at once. I find they feed into each other, and I always like that. And I think that probably comes from working in a creative department.
Draw inspiration from one, push it into another, move things around. Yeah.
Totally. And I find if it just keeps you on your toes. Yeah. You can get into a rut on one project.
Yeah, I agree.
And and it's interesting because you just mentioned the film, but after I'd finished that, someone said, "Oh, well, that's it. You're not going to do ads anymore. You're just going to make a film." And I was like, "No, absolutely. I so want to make an ad. I just want to make something that's done in about a month or a few weeks,
and pays money."
Exactly. Yeah. And you can actually control in some sort of small way at least.
But also, that long form stuff, and then you go, I just want to do something that's really short. Get it done. I find it out.
Yeah,
I think it's hard, isn't it, to go? Not hard. It's just a different discipline going, someone saying it's got to be 30 seconds, it's got to be 6-second pre-roll. It's like da 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 da, and then someone going, I tell you what, 2 hours, or you've got 300-400 pages. Yeah. Off you go, son.
I mean, I've never been involved in a film, but I think it must be so hard as a creative because I pore over a single frame of a billboard or 25 frames per second, and I'm like,
totally. And remember, filmmaking's big. If you go, someone said to me, I said to a friend of mine that makes big films, I said, God, what must it be like, being on something? Because mine was tough, but what must it be like being on something for about 30-40 million quid? Because no, it's easier because everyone does everything. Right. Right. And you just direct.
And they break it up into smaller segments.
Totally, and you've got layers. Whereas for me, with an indie film, I was doing the whole lot. I mean, to put it into perspective, the shoot is about 3.5 weeks long. It's nothing. It's like a hair in the middle of the whole. It's like nothing. It's like a flash in the middle of the whole process. There's a 3-year build up to that. You're editing and doing post and everything for about 1.5 years after that, and then you're marketing it for 2 years after that.
Yeah,
the
pressure though of that 3.5 weeks.
But then surely it is like ads in a way, isn't it? That there's so much goes into the prep.
Yeah.
That on the day or the days, that it is what it is, I suppose.
Oh, completely. I mean, it's interesting because I'm close to Tony. He helped me out a lot, and Tony Kay, and he said once you've cast a film, it's done. I mean, that's literally it.
Oh, really?
People are in it,
because they've got their craft to help you through the process.
Well, because they just impact it in such a big way. Yeah. It's all about actors. It's all about what you're pointing the camera at.
Yeah,
It's back to the wearing different hats. I mean, I always like I wish I'd done this earlier in my career, but when you have different outlets, like you said, just one inspires the other. And if you get pissed off when I used to get angry at work, I wish I had this release of doing something like this, or being a writer, or other
completely
things. And I just used to get annoyed and go to the pub and rant at Tony Davidson or you,
drink beer.
And I think now, I suppose, a bit older and wiser, but it's nice, isn't it? Like you said, and one. If you want something done, give it to a busy person. It's always that thing, isn't it?
But now you just drink beer at the end of the bar on your own and rant.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout at the wall.
Right. Anyway, leaving that. So today we're going to talk billboards, and we're going to hopefully squeeze in 8 of your best ones, and we're going to include in that the 6-sheet for your film you did, How to Stop a Recurring Dream, which you're credited as a client, which I love. The fact that you're like, a die-hard creative.
Yeah.
Very briefly, what was that like, sitting on the other side of the table to Paul Belford?
Well, it's so fucking obvious, it's ridiculous. I mean, as a creative and advertising, you spend pretty much 90% of your time trying to make logos smaller on post. I mean, back in the day when it was either Sta Prest, radio or TV, before the digital thing happened. So, but then of course, when you make a poster, you go, oh, hang on, it's got to have the lead character really big, and then it's got to have every single thing mentioned you could possibly. Yeah. But when you look at the history of film posters, there's usually 2 posters. There's the one that's like the hard like this is what the film is and this is what it will look like and this lands its genre, etc., all that necessary stuff. And then you get the creative one, which exactly. And which I just. And that was a one-off. I just called up Paul Belford and said, "Look, I'm doing this. Do you want to have
Paul Belford, episode 2?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Sorry, we've taken a while to get to you, mate.
Yeah.
You've been too busy. Belford obviously wasn't doing enough.
Well, bless him. Yeah, I mean, I've got something on the go with it. He always seems to have time to do stuff. He's brilliant.
Yeah. Sorry, go on. Interrupted.
Yeah, and of course, and Paul sent that back, pinged that back in about half an hour later or something astonishing. And I kind of looked at it, and it's almost something that when you land something so simple, it's almost something that I'd already thought of and looked at, but just not quite.
Yeah.
And I remember opening the file and looking at it and going, "Is that just too?" No, it's right. It's kind of like that. You go, "Shit, right." It is.
You didn't say, Paul, I've done that, mate.
Yeah, exactly. No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
I mean, I'm not part of the process, I'm not part of your film or anything, but I remember, I knew about your film, and I know this poster on the left. So we're looking at 2 posters on a screen. One is the official release, How to Stop a Recurring Dream, and on the right is the same title, but just fading off.
But you're right, though. You're kind of, obviously, film posters are massive in the out-of-home world. They're big spenders, and it's great product as well because they've got new things coming out. The big studios have got new things coming out every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But they're quite formulaic, aren't they? The film posters, the stuff that we see in the mass audiences. Oh, great! It's got Keanu Reeves in. He's the lead character, and
they're actually
the awards they've already got.
What they are from an advertising point of view. If you use our language, they're direct response.
Yeah,
they're like you can't fuck about. There's not a central proposition there that has to have legs and run for 20 years. They're just there's all the shit there. Come and see it now.
Yeah,
it's
such a short-lived thing for them because they've got a window for the cinema release and then they've got a window for the home entertainment stuff, and it's gone.
Well, remember that poster that has to convert into formats that go digitally into like 28 different formats or more than that, like loads of different formats from DVD covers to little banners on Netflix and loads of stuff. So that's
a good poster though. Did you shoot her for that, or was that just from the film?
It's not from the film. No, I did shoot stills, as I always shoot stills on film, and I shot some beautiful stills, and I lost the negs. I don't know to this day. I just don't know. Do you know? I've only lost 2 sets of negs. Those and a set of negs that I shot on shooting PlayStation Double Life with Frank Budgeon, and I've got the prints, but I haven't got the negs. I think he wanted to see them. He's always really interested, and we were always comparing because we always shot on everything, film and on a normal camera. And he was a keen photographer, and he asked to borrow them because there was a couple of shots he wanted to print from, and I don't think I ever got them back.
Oh, he stole them.
Well, maybe
you heard
not.
it here first.
Maybe not.
But anyway, bringing out Frank.
So
sorry. Going back to that, I had to reshoot it after the film was done and everything. I had to get her, and she came around to my place. We went to Hyde Park.
Right.
It was a windy day, and I had to just cover her face in mud and snap that shot.
It's good. It's a good shot. I mean, the film, the ad poster, for want of a better term, is it's brilliant. I remember seeing it. I was just like, oh fucking hell! It's Belford and Morris together. It's like
but me as
like a super band.
Well, here's the thing, right? I've never.
It's like Foo Fighters.
Yeah, I've never brought a replica pencil. You can do. Some people just never stop. Or I've never I've not shown up to awards, to pick them up. But that one, I had to call them up and go, I want to buy a replica. I want a pencil, my name on it as client.
Yeah, that's good. Before we do that, though, so we've said you wear many hats. Which one's your favourite?
Well, it's interesting that. I mean, I think that, so I grew up in a culture quite early, advertising, where I had my creative director going, no, you're either a copywriter or you're an art director. You must take responsibility for that. And I don't like people that think they're both. And I didn't like that. I didn't feel comfortable with that. And I think my virtue in advertising was that I wasn't a particularly good art director and I wasn't a particularly good copywriter. And so I had to come up with good ideas.
Yeah.
You had to land, and when you did do that, the rest sort of took care of itself.
Okay.
And so I think that's, I think I'm good at coming up with ideas. I like writing. I think not particularly great writer, but I've got a good eye, and I can make sense of things, and I'm a good kind of creative coordinator and orchestrator. So certainly when I do, as my day job now is directing, making ads and helping agencies make great ads.
Yeah.
And I know I put a lot into that. And I think people that have used me and worked with me, especially creative directors, when they've got, young teams, would say, it's definitely a kind of safe set of hands that will make the thing a better ad rather than a worse one as the process goes on.
It's funny you think that of yourself because, I think a part of our jobs in the creative world is being critical of our own work to make it better. Remove the things that aren't working and make it better. We all do that to ourselves as well. I'm not a great writer, or I'm not. You obviously are because of the stuff that you're getting out there. So it's I think it's.
Yeah, I think there's a little humbleness there, mate. I think that
maybe. I mean, there's moments of arrogance, I mean, that's that.
But we all need that as well.
When there's moments of, what's the opposite of that? Of devastating kind of self-doubt, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing
That
with
imposter
creatives is
syndrome.
we're usually in one of those two places.
Yeah.
We're never sort of walking along the street going, things are fairly good today and I'm reasonably talented and, I'm doing okay. It's never like that, is it?
Yeah. No, there are very brief ones of those, and then your other half of your brain going, yeah, but you're still not that good, are you really?
That's it.
Have you written a book? Have you done a Hollywood film?
But that's what I mean. We all suffer from this imposter syndrome every now and again. Anyway, listen, let's get on to billboards because we're here. We've got some time to talk about some billboards.
Sure.
But before we get onto yours, what was the billboard at the end of your street this morning?
Well, I took a picture of it. It's on the. Let me get my glasses out.
We're very much hoping it's not going to be brilliant. This is part of it.
Oh my God.
Or maybe it is brilliant.
Well,
we need a brilliant one.
But here's the strange thing. I got the billboard at the end of my road is my tube. It's on the central line into town, right? And this is the bizarre thing, is I was on the tube the day before you asked me to snap the billboard at the end of my street.
Right.
And I took a picture of this because it was so bad.
Oh, we got another bad one.
It was so bad that I was actually angered by it. And I was furious at it.
Yeah.
Good. In the way I still am now and again with adverts and advertising, which is quite pathetic within itself. And so I'm just trying to get to it here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Anyway, I took a snap of it because I just thought it was so bad. I'm just trying to see if this snap actually came out. I hope it did. Hey, where's that gone? Where has that gone?
While you find it, I'd just say...
Oh, here we go.
It's coming.
So I'm going to show this billboard and you'll see it. And the reason I took it was for... And then the next day you said, bring a picture of your billboard at the industry. This is, as I walked down onto the central line, it's there. And I was sort of like, took the time to read
obviously, guys, we're going to put this in the description, so have a look at it.
I'm going to read it out. Who cares about the NHS? We know who. And then there's a logo.
Yeah. Big pink thing, and it's two headlines either side. But the reason I took a picture of that is because it's not only is it as a sort of
we've had worse, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm sure. But what amazes me about that is it's a poster in conversation with itself.
Yeah.
There's a question, and then it answers itself over the other side of the billboard.
Yeah.
And then there's a logo completely unrelated to anything that it's talking about. And so I stopped to read it, and I thought,
I still don't understand. It says, see what your audience cares about.
And I thought, someone spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
And it's a bit of try-hard typography as well. They've had a go.
Yeah.
What is it? Everyone's talking about the NHS right now. We need to say something.
Here's the thing. Here's the reason I love posters, right? It's because they are a very special medium, because they're a broadcast medium that don't have a captive audience.
Yeah.
So TV, cinema, captive audience. They are broadcast without so you've got to get hold of someone. That's the first thing. You've got to grab their attention, and you've got to say it really quickly. And this, not only does it not get hold of me, right, but I sort of took the time. But when you do, so when you think, oh, I'm a bit late, I'll read it. It's just in a conversation with itself. So it pays no, it's just like, it's almost kind of excluding me intentionally.
Quite annoying. I mean,
bizarre.
The other ones we've had have been, at least that actually has done a basic, there is a headline, they've sort of made the other bits a bit smaller, there aren't 19 typefaces, but in a way that's even more annoying because they've sort of half tried and you lent in.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it.
All there.
Well, also you see a lot of posters where you just go, oh my God, if you gave me 10 minutes on that, it'd be like 20 minutes,
And so we talk a lot about the kind of the heyday of out of home and the great stuff that we used to see, with LWT posters and the replacing the middle bit and all that stuff, brilliant stuff. But we have to remember there was a load of shit back then as well. There was, it's not, it wasn't all hand painted murals that looked amazing. And
people forget that, because I was thinking that on the way in here. It's quite a confusing business now, especially for clients. It's so fragmented and there's so many little, and it's so much to it. Really, back in the day when we were trying to get a job, it's about 4 or 5 agencies and that's it. And the rest were rubbish, to be honest. The rest were a big drop.
And there's about 4 or 5 formats as well, because you were talking about 6s, 1 sheets, 12 sheets, 48s.
And also at that 4 or 5 agencies, there are probably no more than about 2 or 3 teams really kicking it, special. Yeah. So it was quite a small business,
And now it's just exploded.
It's vast.
Yeah, I mean, even when we were at BBH, it was changing rapidly. And that's that's fucking years ago.
Well, remember, we lived through, in a very short space of time, we lived through globalisation. when it was in the birth of the micro networks. Suddenly it wasn't a UK agency. Lowe did it first. They became a UK micro network global, then BBH, big, then suddenly they all became like that. Yeah. So he went through globalization, and that's when the foreign creative directors, started coming in and changed the game. Then it went through digitization, that another massive explosion. So the thing just kept going like that. Yeah. And the budgets went up and the money got big. And so there was a lot of, there's a lot in it.
And that fragmentation happened across the advertising spectrum as
Completely,
well. So with your new formats, online, social, more storytelling. There's like so much.
And then the experiential thing. Suddenly it's we don't want. I mean, I remember when I was a creative director, one year I just put a thing over my door saying, if there's a category for it in D&AD, don't bring it into me. I'm not interested in looking at it. I mean, it was literally like, it's already too late.
Yeah.
That's how quickly things are moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd want to create things on buildings or, interactive things on the street or whatever
That's
it might
quite
be.
interesting. That's a good way to think about it. If there's already a category,
Or an awards category for it, it's already dead.
Yeah.
Do
you what do you feel about the industry at the moment? Do you have I suppose we've.
Do you know? If you said to me, if I was a client now and I was, which I could be. Look, after my second pencil, right? Yeah. I could be. I don't know. I wouldn't know where to look. I wouldn't know where to start. The UK agencies that seem to be doing well in the UK seem very provincial and UK based. They seem, but they don't seem to be very globally or outward looking. Right. Yeah. They're winning awards here. Yeah. But they don't seem to be really kicking it.
Yeah. There's definitely a move to the boutique. Like, let's be a specialist here. Let's kind of focus on.
There's nothing that gets anywhere near what Kim and Tony were doing at Wyden's, 10 years ago. I mean, that was fucking phenomenal. I mean, they were, on a world level, they were the best and making a lot of the best. You just don't see anything of that
I remember.
scale.
Just as an aside, I remember when Tony and Kim were at BBH with us, and Ryan Kennedy in London was terrible. And their leaving card, I don't know if you did it or someone, remember leaving cards? And it was a plane going down, and it was two people, the pilot shitting himself, holding on, and two people at the back going, give it here, we'll have a go. Brilliant. And that was brilliant. That was how bad it was.
I remember.
And then they got there, and it was Honda, Nike, the pack, everything they did was.
But I think there's a big thing in right person, right time, right place in advertising. You just find your agency, you land it, and it can go the other way. There's a lot of people that were
clients
brilliant.
play a massive part of that as well.
Completely.
Yeah,
but Kim and Tony, there were a lot of creatives. There were 2 or 3 really good creative directors that had gone into Wyden Kennedy and messed it up and come out like year, 2 year, 3 years later with nothing.
It's like football. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to do football club.
We're not talking about football.
No. Okay, so listen.
First Billboard. Let's go first Billboard.
Ed, what was your first?
Do you remember your first one?
Yeah, I do actually. It was for Odd Bins.
Odd Bins?
Are
they still going?
Yeah. And it was, creative director Paul Leaves.
Nice.
And
just when you were at Miller Leeds?
Yeah, that's right. First job, right?
Right.
And it was a picture of.
Have you got it?
I have somewhere. I haven't got. I can send it. It's on the wall at my mum's. I think she's still got it. But
anyway, that was going to be the next question. Did you take your mum to see it?
Yeah, she did see it. Yeah, and I was, it's funny looking back because it's the first ad I got out, and it ran as a Press It Anna poster, and it, they put it up in Odd Bins and stuff. But it was Ralph Steadman pictures, all that stuff. So they're great. So there's all that body of work. So you had all these Ralph Steadman sketches, and you just had to put a line with one. And it was an ad for a little promotion. It was an ad for promotion to say that they'd won Wine Merchant of the Year.
Right.
And it was a picture of a French guy on a bike that was stacked with wine. Right. And the line we wrote was, you don't get to be Wine Merchant of the Year 3 years running by peddling plonk or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Peddling plonk. That was the...
Yeah.
So anyway, that was it.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. And was that... Hold on, I'm going to... Because I read somewhere that you got a silver lion in your first week or on placement or something.
Yeah, so we did an ad for Polaroid cameras. So we were on placement at Miller Leaves.
Right.
It's first week there. And this brief came in for Polaroid cameras, and we wrote a load of scripts, some really good ones actually when I think back to it. We were just purists. We were just trying to write it for our book.
Yeah.
Because it was like, if we don't get a job here, at least we've got another 6 pages in the book with some cracking ads in.
Yeah.
And we wrote, and one of them went out to, it was out of BDD Paris, which was a sort of sister agency. And we got the call, they want to make this. And it researched well because there was it could be dubbed in any language.
Right.
And next minute we got, next minute we're on a plane to Chicago. And we're still on placement. And I'm thinking, this is great.
Is this what it's like? Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I know. We're going to. Actually, my great friend Tracy Stokes, TV producer, I played blues guitar, and so from going to Chicago it was like I'm a club class. I'd never fucking been in club class so it was just astonishing. And I actually bought a guitar in Chicago that I play every day to this day.
But also you're a ukulele man as well.
Not really. I'm ukulele for always been a guitar.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
I'm a song and dance man.
Maybe you should have brought it in
amongst it. Yeah.
Do some jingles for
You
us.
could do us an opening sting.
That's a good idea. I'll do you a jingle. But anyway, so I got a guitar on expenses out there.
No.
That's how good things were.
On expenses?
I mean, it's a Squire Strat. I think it's probably like $150, couple of $100.
Was
It's a
it in
very
the
good
shoot?
guitar.
Was it somewhere in the background? Was it a prop?
Was it listed as reference?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, prop. Keep to prop the art director up on the shoot. Yeah, that was it. But that anyway. So we got back, and then Paul gave us a job, I think. But so this is bizarre. That's the year. And Paul's best mate was Larry Barker.
Yeah.
It's when Larry Barker had done this Levi's Swimmer, which I thought was one of the best fucking ads.
Tarzan,
I think
wasn't it?
style-wise and beautiful idea. I think that ad is to this day astonishing and probably underrated. It got a silver at Cannes that year, and the ad we'd shot for Polaroid on placement got a silver at Cannes as well. So Paul came back saying, "Well done, boys," but I was with Larry, and he's like spitting blood. Though.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
bet.
so-
Right, okay. So we're going to, great story, thank you. We've got eight pieces we're going to talk about. And I'm a bit of a sucker for a timeline, so I've done them in order.
Yeah, cool.
So hopefully that's right. And so we're going to start.
That's basically his catchphrase. I don't know if you noticed. If you've listened to any other.
I'm a sucker for a timeline.
Sucker for a timeline.
So we're going
Get
to
that on a t-shirt for you.
with Red Stripe.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to describe this slightly. You can tell us about it, but they're beautiful posters. They're very colourful. There's some great wordplay in the lines. I'm just going to read this one. There's no redemption in cosmology or throwaway technology. Improve the world's ecology. Just ask for one of these in your own terminology. And there's a shot of a drawing of a red stripe. The thing I wanted to ask you first about this was, you're credited as the art director and writer. So did you do this whole thing on your own? Were you not with James?
No, he was away. I don't know what was going on, but I was working on it.
Did you lock him in a cupboard and just
I don't know what,
take the brief?
I think he was on a long holiday, but I don't remember at the time. But this brief came in, and I was under some pressure to crack it because no one had cracked it. And it was a really good brand. I thought Red Stripe, fantastic. It's beer. And it's got a really strong Jamaican beer.
Yeah.
And it was kicking about, and I remember just thinking, I've got to try and do. I made a leap because everyone was writing sort of like beer ads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get Jamaica gags, a bit kind of. Everyone was doing felt to me like it was like white people in London writing ads for a Jamaican beer, and I thought, shit, what was just like? Let's try and just be in the yard. Do you know what I mean? What would it be like if I was there? How can, at least to do this justice, how can I bring some authenticity to this?
Yeah,
It looks like something you might see on a wall, right?
Totally. And then I started looking at. I found one. It's like it's like sign you see on a beach in Jamaica, all hand painted, beautiful thing, just gorgeous. I thought that's it, and so I just started collecting pictures of those, and I just started copying the type. I mean, I went to an illustrator with hundreds of references. Johns, the guy that he was a storyboard artist, but a really good artist, and I used him, and he was really into it, and I just kept finding these lovely little references, the starburst,
Jonathan Millward.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
looking at my reference, and Seamus.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, and we worked on it and shaped them and created them and upset it and tried to make them look ever more authentic and sort of like slightly good but bad typography and the colouring.
It's been like you could have done them as murals, couldn't you?
Yeah, they feel like photos of murals off a wall,
which is what they are, and that's exactly because they were done as artwork. I don't know where they are now. I'd love to have one
original,
but they were done painted
canvases
on board, like big sizes like that onto wood board. So they've got all the, and then they were photographed.
Right.
Yeah, so they are. So
did you do other routes, or was this like you said this is it, it's a humdinger, and then it got bought straight away? Was it a relatively...
Yeah, I drew them all up, and it's one of those things. It just sold really easy. It's like the client, yeah, we love it. Yeah, go and make them. Yeah, done. Yeah, out they went.
Yeah, I think that the tone of the writing is lovely, but the tone of just all of it. It just, like you said, it feels like I'm in Jamaica, but not like some horrible cliched ad person with a sort of photo and a woman and it's all that crap. It's just beautiful.
Well, then I got the idea of toasting. When you listen to Jamaican, like DJs, and they just speak in rhyme, like and quite it's colourful language in itself. So the language is full of colour and the slightly crazy rhymes and messages as well, kind of ecological messages and
it feels kind of like a ragga MC.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally.
Nice.
And they got picked up, and they got
really
got printed onto speakers, and people had them in pubs, and pubs was putting all the posts,
That's how you know you got a good poster. Someone turns it into a piece of artwork, and it's
totally.
it's
There's
out
this
in
one
the,
pub
in the
in
wild.
Brixton, and the bloke had got all the promotional stuff and just literally covered the whole pub in it.
Yeah.
It's got that's some
you're right. You've kind of leapt then into something a bit grandiose, but into culture rather than just being something trying to sell you something.
Well, I always think if you're authentic and you're true to what the thing is, it doesn't date either. I mean, it's interesting looking at those posters now, because actually you could put those up now.
But it's also that product is got a kind of this. It's got a bit of a cult following anyway, hasn't it?
Completely.
So it's like certainly in London, in a melting pot of cultures.
I feel like a red stripe now.
I really fancy one.
Anyway, we're going to move on to something sort of completely different. We flick onto the screen. It's a beautiful black and white campaign portraiture for TFL Underground. This was at Bainsfair Sharkey Trot still, I think.
Yeah.
And it was shot by the Douglas brothers. Am I right in saying that?
Andrew Douglas, actually. Andrew.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He shot all those on I can't remember what camera. I think it was a box camera. It's a small handheld camera, all on film. And he was pulling Polaroids out of this thing back then. And I kept some of the Polaroids. And they were just, he saw the project and he just loved it,
They're really sweet. I was looking at it last night, wrote this line on my pad, something about the Ed Morris of today might have wanted to shoot them himself.
Yeah, I would have. Absolutely. But you don't get a better photographic brief than that.
Yeah.
I had so many photographers after that round come and want to see me because they wanted to do the next
But I remember at the time, those two, me and Adam, if we were struggling for an idea, which was, quite often, sometimes you go, fuck it, get the Douglas brothers. They were the fucking cool guys.
Yeah, for sure.
There was Stuart and
Andrew, that's right. Yeah,
and they had this sort of look and feel, didn't they?
Amazing, yeah.
So all of these were shot. They weren't.
Shot the whole lot.
So I'm looking at one with a kid with the bubble. Did that take a lot of work?
It didn't actually. No, he came in and he was really good. Andrew. Literally, Andrew was in a little space like this. And he got the kid in, and there's a little black backdrop and the bubble, and I found an image of a kid blowing a bubble, and I thought that's a cool image.
Yeah.
And then I think he said, "Yeah, cool. It's got to be this type of kid and this styling." And I looked at this when you told me about it, but that kid is cool. You see the little cut in his hair.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's 20 years ahead of his time. He's a really cool looking little.
Yeah.
So the casting was great, and it's a lovely image. Incidentally, this is how I came up with that idea. I thought, right, it's the Tube. It's quite a difficult message, the message was they'd been hammering people over the head with sort of fear messages about paying a fare, right? Yeah. But what they'd found out is that didn't do anything, because people were sort of upset by it. They felt sort of set upon, and the people that were dodging the fare didn't give a shit about it. They were
do you know what? I went onto their website last night, and there was all it was like sort of surrealism. It was like the Scream. Yeah. And it was all people
I know, it's mad. I know, it's mad.
really weird. I was looking at it thinking, what's going on here?
Well, what they found is when you're down on the Tube and it's not the safest place and the least anxious of places for a lot of people, and you put messages like that, it's like bloody being supposed to
it's like we're watching you.
Totally.
But it was actually just because you hadn't bought a ticket.
Yeah, completely.
Whereas these are, I'm going to just read the headline. It says every bus is someone's school bus. So they're very positive, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they're like, they've moved right away.
Well, it's
everyone owns it as well. That's the thing.
I think we rely on the fare that London relies on the we rely. Basically it was a sort of inclusive thing. It's look, if you don't pay your fare, you're cheating someone. It's everyone chips in. It's you're sort of kind of you're shitting on your own doorstep kind of thing. And it worked really well. And people called up, and I think at some point they printed them. And London Transport got asked for copies of these. It was really nice. A lot, like people would say, "Can I get a copy of that?"
Yeah. It's a cool thing to work on, isn't it? 'Cause it is, London Transport is part of our life, part of our culture.
Well, it's the fabric of London, isn't it? It's
I think,
Well, also I was under the pressure of, Richard and Andy, I think had done, there was one's really good. Oh no, that's it. The one poster that I set as the benchmark.
Was the Eros, was it?
No, it was the Starvometer.
Oh yeah.
Which is Damon and
Mary,
yeah.
And it was a spine.
Yeah, it was a GGT post. It was great. Yeah. I mean, that was very, very what you call trotty visual.
Yeah, classic.
But I But what I did was the way I started is I just looked for great photographs and put them up of people. Londoners doing different things. So like the woman carrying the bag. And I think the first one I got to was just the baby. And I got to delivering and baby, and then just started to put. So I started with something. I thought, what can I put down on the tube that just looks beautiful?
Yeah.
You know, like if all you had to do was put a photograph up that people are grateful for, start there, and worked it back from there. I mean, Jim and me just kept writing and knocking it about, and you know, we got to that.
It was like that Faces project in Berlin where they hand painted faces all. It was this kind of rough housing estate.
Yeah,
and someone's idea was, let's make it beautiful. Let's put up the pictures of multicultural society that we live in, and started painting faces around all the different.
Well, I'm a great believer in free association. I don't think I still do have a lot of scrapbooks, but it was great to go on. I'd kind of get a brief in my head, right, and then I just flick through loads of pictures and images, and sometimes you just make a big. I mean, Lost Dog came about.
Oh, really?
Via that, you know.
I think it's a thing with London Underground, isn't it? It's a tonal thing. If you've got to get it right, because everyone's down there, and everyone's like. You know, they just want to.
They're trying to avoid eye contact.
Yeah, they're trying to get something.
They'll stare at things on the wall.
It's funny, isn't it? Because at the beginning of this, the poster at the end of my street, I think that was a cross tracks you said, and that's just everything these aren't.
Yeah, completely.
You know?
Yeah,
and, absolutely.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Right, let's get you.
We're rattling on. We're doing well here.
To working with Trevor Beatty.
Yeah.
Trev.
Amazing.
We've talked about Trevor a lot on this.
We do talk about
in fact, we were supposed to get him in on the first
Trev,
series.
please come in.
Yeah.
Please come in.
I haven't spoken to him in a while.
He probably doesn't listen to this, so.
Not much. No?
We could put a billboard up in space, he'll read it and then it can come to us.
That's an idea. Have you spoken to him?
Not recently, no.
He's busy in the films
but I've got time
space.
for Trevor, you know. I think he's a really good...
Yeah.
No, he's a really good figurehead in advertising.
Yeah, I mean,
He will be the first ad man in space, though, won't he?
Pretty much, if he hasn't already been.
Yeah.
Has he been?
I don't know. He's on his way. I mean, we tried when we set this thing up. Trevor's we've tried, and he was going to come in right at the beginning. We had some chat, and then it didn't work out.
We couldn't work the diary.
But
he's done some great posters. And
he's one of the kings.
Well, he's a champion of the poster as well. I mean, he was that was his, that's the thing he loved.
Yeah.
Well, when you get guests in and you go through the catalogue, you know, like yourself and Finky and Heg and that, so you go, fucking, that's a lot here. There's a lot.
Well, I wouldn't put myself up with Finky and Heg. They're quite shining stars. But I mean,
You've got a very good body, though, mate. No.
Well,
thank you.
Different podcast.
Thank God this isn't.
Yeah, I'll put my clothes on.
Radio.
I'll turn the cameras off now, guys.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk TBWA, and this is for Kew Gardens.
Yeah,
it's a 96 sheet, right? Do you want to give us a quick explanation?
So here's the situation. I'm at what is still BST or whatever. It's a bit kind of messy. There isn't a head of art. There isn't a head of copy. Paul Lees is great, but there's not a lot of support. It's wobbling a bit because we think someone else is going to come in. We're going to merge with GGT. Then there's talk of merge. So within the space of a year, we merged with GGT. Then we merged with TBW. It's like we literally had three. Oh no, that's it. We moved. Anyway, it's like three mergers.
Didn't Simon's Palmer get involved as well? BB.
Yeah, that's it. I think
TBWA.
Yeah, they'd merged before we moved with them.
That's right.
It was a real mess.
One in the.
Well, it was that merger mania period, where agencies could kind of double their profits and whatever. I think it was just greedy time. Don't know why they did it really, but anyway. So I'm sitting in this. It's a bit messy. There's not a lot going, but we've got this client, Kew Gardens, and I thought, right, I've got to try and get something out. So anyway, but I'd been working on Kew Gardens without there being a brief. I just thought, I'm going to have a go at this.
I was going to say, is it?
Because I grew up in Kew Gardens. I had an auntie in Richmond, and I spent a lot of time, so I sort of knew it.
Yeah.
And I thought the Palm House was an amazing thing. As a destination, the Palm House is almost something better and bigger than Kew Gardens. It's just an astonishing. I remember walking through it as a kid. And it's like walking into the rainforest. And so
that warmth hits you straight away when you walk in.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's like getting off the plane in the Caribbean or something. But I got pictures of the rainforest. I got a stock library book. Always remember, we're always looking through stock library books. You don't have them anymore. You'd have you'd go, that make a good ad, that make a good ad. And you'd cut it out. And the first time you'd make it was the same size as it was in D&AD because that was the picture. But anyway, so I had that on the desk, and then I'd cut out pictures. I was looking for a picture I was cutting out pictures of that, and then Jim, who I was working with, literally went, "Yeah, look, you just want to put that on there," and I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, and then I spent some time. Then I found one that was the right angle and the right shape, in retouching, we lowered the image so it's low, and then we put it all together. I don't know about the fuzzy border now. I would have directed it differently, but I like the type on the right, just in line with.
So basically, what you've done, so for people who aren't here with us, you've put the palm. What's it called? The palm.
The palm house.
Palm house.
Palm house in the rainforest.
Into a picture of the rainforest.
But it's beautifully. It just sits there very naturally. And the thing I love about it, I love about it, it's just very elegant and sort of calm.
Yeah.
But it does do that thing. Your brain just takes half a second to go.
Yeah, because you go, that's the Thames. Okay, that's Kew Gardens, Thames. Oh no, it's not the Thames.
Yeah,
it's the Amazon.
And I think that there's not enough of that where you credit the viewer with some intelligence. They got to put it together. Yeah. And now people are going,
what?
What?
Yeah.
You know, and
it's not obvious.
So my kids, they watch a film, we're 5 minutes in, they go, what's going on? What's going on? I go, watch the film, and it will tell you.
Get off Instagram and watch the film.
So
interestingly, and the credit to great art by Carolyn Henry at the time, who was lovely and has done so well since. She's I consider her a dear friend, although I don't see her that much. But I went into her, we were like, this is great. And I think the corrector was like, great, but there isn't a brief. You've got to make it happen. We went into her, and she got the stock shot. She made it happen. She got the retouching done, and she got, we did. So we made the whole thing for nothing. Got it put together.
Wow.
And
who was that? Sorry,
Carolyn Henry.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And then we got it, and then we just got it to run. We got a site. They showed it to the client. They said, yeah, but there isn't a. Let's try and create a little budget or a reason for it. And so we did that and the London Transport. What we just saw. Got into both won 3 or 4 silvers,
right.
And John Hegarty happened to be on the jury and the gold jury, and so we won a couple of golds.
Right.
And he saw that, and the London Transport called us in, and that's how it goes. So it's a couple of things we've done off our own back and really pushed hard for, and fought hard for in a department that was a bit messy at the time. It wasn't really a solid. A lot of people wouldn't have considered it a really great agency,
Well, that's the power of
moved us on.
But that became your calling card then.
Absolutely.
Well, before you leave TBW, we're just going to finish on one more. So this is the. I always want to ask you about this. It's a brilliant bit of outdoor. So it's a stunt. It's a field with a Bic razor that shaved the grass, and that's it. Yeah. And I remember seeing it, going, "Fucking, that's good," but it never felt like it won enough awards. It got enough PR. What was the vibe?
Well, it did. Bizarrely. This was a legitimate brief, and it did run, and it was up there.
Yeah, where is it? What it was field?
It's a field. It's one of those fields. I think it was on the way down to Heathrow, so you see it as you go. So it was up there. It was up there, and
but it wasn't. It's not an outdoor site. It's a special.
It's a special build. Yeah, it's a special build. So. Trevor said, we've got this client Bic, they've launched their disposable razor in a new form, I think it was, which is that one there. So actually how you see it. So we had that built, it was huge, bloody razor.
Yeah.
And he said, we've got a little bit of a budget. I want to do some special builds because I think it's let's try and do a little stunt for them.
Yeah.
So went in to see Trevor with that the next day. It's like, bang, here we go. And he's like, fantastic, let's do it. And it's one of those things where Carolyn again got it done.
Right.
We had it made. We found the site. We put it up. And took the shot because this is the great thing about that is the shot becomes a sort of PR,
I mean,
I
last night I was trying to find it, doing a few sets. The only place, and once again, credit to Dave Dye. So he did a massive chat with Trev, and it's buried in there. But if you go on the internet and you go, Bic, stunt, put all the words in, it's very hard to find.
Yeah.
Whereas some other
you say that in what I do in day job, I get what's happening out of home, what's the best out of home. Clients coming to me saying, this is the kind of stuff we need to aim for. This is always in there because it's the kind of, it's the off the wall stuff that the client direct goes, we need to be thinking outside of the billboard box. What should we do?
Well, I remember that didn't get into D&AD. It didn't get into campaign posts. There was like a whole bunch of stuff. It didn't do anything.
But I wonder if that is because it's people looked at it and went, well, it's not really a poster. It wasn't a poster site. It's like, there wasn't a category for it.
Yeah.
Where does it fit?
I was the same. I was a bit because I love it. It's one of those.
Well, I love the way that there's nothing on the poster, but the logo.
Yeah.
It's still a logo.
Like it's fallen off, but But these days, what would you do with this? It wouldn't just be that. Yeah. It would be the film. Yeah. It would be how we cut the grass. It'd be the social story.
Building the giant Bic.
I love the fact that there is out there somewhere a massive Bic. And I want to ask you later on about a massive quality street rapper, but we'll come to that.
I should have kept them all.
Oh no!
Do you know what I did do? I had Ron Muick make me models 2 or 3 times. Really lovely, but I didn't keep those. I had one stolen out of the room.
Oh no!
Isn't it?
We had Alexandra Taylor came in with a silk cut spool, which she had, which was cotton thing.
Yeah,
brilliant.
beautiful.
It was really amazing.
You loved it all the way into the. Yeah.
So we're going to go. You mentioned Egerty saw your Kew Gardens. So you came to BBH and you met all those brilliant people.
Well, it's interesting because
and you.
Yeah, I was going to say. And myself.
They were good days. No, but I tell you something then. When you got into BBH, right?
Yeah.
You knew it. Yeah. You knew that when you got a job there, you'd beaten about 300 other teams to it, at least. And they were fucking dying to, I mean, there were teams that would, it was like you'd arrived.
Yeah.
I remember, because
our first day, we walked round, John Peppiatt walked us round to do, this is how we do it. Every day we go and we were seeing people like, John Gorson, Nick Worthington, Bruce and Graham, Stephen Vick. And you're sitting there going, oh my God, this place is full of fucking amazing people. So you go back to the office and go, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And then John Gorse, bless him, he's a bit like you. He's very down to earth, but, driven, creative. And he said, don't worry. He said, I haven't done a good ad in 3 fucking years in this place. And they
oh my God.
But he was really like this, he goes, I like your Harley Davidson stuff. I wish I could do something like that. And we were like, well, he's a bit different. And then they did Polaroid or Drugstore about a year later or so, but it was full of those.
This is the humbleness of creatives. Everyone thinks they haven't done a good ad, but
yeah, you get into an agency like BBH and you think everyone's going to be walking around like, swanning it about, really arrogant, and they're just department full of depressed people.
Yeah, fucking hate my life. Haven't done a good ad. Yeah, I'm not a good writer.
Yeah.
And actually, the really confident people, I'm not going to mention names.
Oh God, yeah.
They're the ones who you thought really good and they were actually terrible.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, that's
But so you ended up. Am I right in thinking you sat next to Hegarty?
Yeah, we were in the. I remember when we got in there, and he just said, "Yeah, you'll be sitting here, like pretty much next to me." I was like, "Fucking hell." Okay, so John, thank you.
Pressure.
Yeah, just go.
I remember. So you go down, say, "I'll go and see Ed and Jim." Sit there like, and then you sort of Hegarty, and you just do like a little turn, and back you go to your office. So, but on one of those journeys up, I remember seeing. I remember the Sta Prest brief, okay?
Yeah.
So there was all these Levi's briefs going around with the big brand stuff, sexy TV. And I remember everyone going, what's this Sta Prest thing? Like, what? What's that? A bit like a producty point rather than just make a fucking great film.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what's going on with that, And then on the wall, I just remember seeing these layouts with this crease across them and my heart sank because you'd fucking nailed it. And I went back to Adam and went, oh fuck! It's so good. And it was just.
Did you get to that point where you go, it's not worth even putting one in? They've done it.
Yeah.
And so how long did it take you to get to the fold?
Okay, so it's so funny digging this shit up.
Sorry, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. It's fine.
I think I'm just trying to think of the first one. So this is quite a tricky campaign because I got to the idea of the fold. I think we literally Jim and me were kicking it about and we were drawing, and then I think we were just talking about again. It's that thing of authenticity. My thing is get out the way of the product. Don't add anything to it. Just what is the thing? It's a fold. It's a crease. And I think there was a definite moment where we folded a piece of paper. It's like we work with an A2 layout pad, right? We've just put a fold in the middle and looked at it. Just put it in front of us and gone, we've got to do something with that.
You got to.
And then I've gone, and then I think the first one we got to was the girl with the hair. It was a Nadav shot. It was a Nadav shot.
Yeah.
And I said, look, if you got that shot, and Jim's like, yeah, just put the hair up there. And it's one of those things that came about and we just got to, and we were like, fuck, that's brilliant. Yeah. And they put it on the wall. Then you're like, oh no, we need 3 more. That was like, how are we going to do this?
Find some more photos.
I remember there was one. And I was always thinking, God, that's a good one. And it was
Isn't there a diagonal one?
There was one, and it was someone shimmying down like a wire.
Oh, using it as a wire. Yeah.
So you walk down and you're going, oh, they've done another one. The wire. But and I saw more and more.
Yeah.
But it sort of felt like a shame you only got 3 or 4.
Well, do you know what we had? There was the brief. There was a brief to do another lot, and we did a whole nother lot, but they never ran. The difficulty with them is we did loads, but they had to be singular and they had to be iconic and they had to make good fashion photos.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
See, and then we're out of our game there. there in the world of fashion. We're going because and you knew this when you worked on Levi's. There's this team would descend. You'd have a stylist, a clothes person, everyone kissing each other. It's like fucking hell. Where are we? We used to selling washing machines and tampons. And you've suddenly got you're in the world of fashion. They had it was quite high sort of. It wasn't easy to get one right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at them now. I remember there was. Even then, you're thinking, you've got to show the person wearing the jeans. Like, I don't normally do that.
That's right.
Really, like John Gorson, Nick did just loads of washing machines.
That's right.
Wash the arsehole out.
But was it easier to get the photographers that you wanted because it became a fashion brief?
Well, no. That's a tricky thing because I think a fashion photographer. We looked at a lot of fashion photographers, but I think they just wouldn't have got the crease and the necessity to. So I got. What's his name? Lovely guy with the studio. So I got a different photographer to shoot the crease. Laurie Haskell. So Laurie Haskell shot the crease for it. It was brilliant.
Right.
Sort of like Nadav did. So I got Laurie Haskell to shoot the crease because that's actually a photograph. See, we creased up lots of paper and shot the crease. So then we got the original. So then Nadav shot the main shots, right? Because we had to get because Nadav, they're not really fashion shots. They're quite orchestrated. They're very composed. So we got him to shoot the main shots, and then we retouched the crease on a Mac. We put the crease in and put the shadow down, and then you create it. So the whole thing had to be constructed. And I remember because Hegarty approved it, and he saw the and he was very close to Levi's, obviously, and he saw the roughs, and then he went away while I was making it.
Did he ever go with Birdie? Did you get Birdie involved?
Yeah. So typography, I mean, all down to Birdie, brilliant,
amazing.
So then, but Hegarty came back, and the first thing he did when he walked in the agency is he walked straight, and he got the art buyer to get them all out under the light box, all the footage, because he hadn't seen it, and I think he's very worried about it. And I was sitting in the office down there, and I saw him walk in, and it's like a shark. He just walked straight to this fucking light box with Pepe out. Right? It hasn't even involved me. No one else. He just wants to, because he wants to. I think he wants to be on his own, so that if he has to get annoyed, he can do, and then work out what he's going to do or show his disappointment. And he walks up to the light box. He looks at them all, puts his glasses on, looks at them all. I just see this smile crack across his face. I'm like, I think we might be all right. And then he comes straight over to me, and he just opens the door, leans in, and goes, "Really nice job on those Levi's, but well done, nice art direction."
Yeah, I'm feeling tense.
And then I think he goes, "I know exactly. That's what it was like."
I was holding my breath for ages there.
Do you know what I'm thinking? It reminded me of Rosie when Rosie wanted to use. For the Imperial Shrinking Man stuff, she did with Will Audrey, and she wanted to use Nadav, I think, and John wasn't so keen, and she said she had to go in and fight, and she, it's quite a hard thing with someone like John who's stuff.
Here's the thing, rewinding back a couple of years, when we went in to show Trevor the rough cut of PlayStation Double Life, Jim was like, he thought we were going to get fired. He came out, and when we came out of the meeting, we didn't even realise we'd made, what was going to end up being the most awarded Addy or whatever it was. But when we came out, it was literally, I felt him physically like,
a purge.
And Jim looked at me, he just thought, fucking hell, because Trevor saw it and was like, immediately called the management down and said, "This is the best ad." And we'd helped Trevor out because they just merged. They needed a big ad. They needed to make a statement, a statement piece.
Great film.
And so we were clear. And I remember James just going to me. He was almost in tears. Like, he looked emotional, not in tears, but emotional. And he said, "Fucking, I honestly, really, I thought he was going to fire us when he worked that."
But it's quite nice, though, isn't it? That
brilliant. It shows how sort of humble or tense you are,
and the anticipation of something about to happen.
Sure,
right.
Sure.
Oh God, we could stay there for. I've had quite a few people write to me, ex-BBHs, just saying we just love chatting about BBH and listening to it all. So thanks for that. So we're going to now move on, and we're going to talk about Quality Street.
Yeah.
So you did these posters, and they are fucking amazing posters. These are one of my favourite posters of all of your stuff. Sorry about the wrong line on there. You did these at Low, London. Yeah. Again, so this is on your own now. You have...
so what happened was we got to Low, and we'd been through quite a lot. And, I think there's a time in every sort of teams, we've done quite a lot together, me and Jim. And I think we were getting to, or certainly he was getting to a stage where you want to define yourself outside of the relationship, perhaps. And, think life is, also we're very, very different places. I'm single on my own, and he's married. He's suddenly had a couple of kids.
He had horses as well.
He had horses,
Right.
So,
I remember
he had a different type of life. So I think Jim was cut out. He wanted to be a creative director and cut out for that, and good luck to him. So he went off. I remember we went for an interview at O&M, and I sort of came out and said, "Look, Jim, it's not my." He was really keen. I said, "Look, it's just not for me. I don't feel right about it."
Yeah.
And also, it's a right schlep for me. It's when they'd moved right over there.
Yeah,
and I just said, "But look, I can't. I can't be convinced, but again, I'm not going to hold it against. It's not something I can stop you pursuing if you feel that's what you want to do, and that's what he did. And good luck to him. And he was strong enough to do that. I probably wouldn't have been quite courageous enough to, because when you're a team, you're a commodity, and you have a personality, and it's taken you a lot of work to get there.
Yeah, you're building a brand.
Yeah, completely. So anyway, he went off to do his thing, and then I was like, "Fuck!" I'm sat in and it was like people like Vince Squibb in the Silburn. There's some big people there.
Yeah.
So Frank Lowe sitting above you upstairs.
Yeah.
Some people like Paul Weinberger down the corridor. These are big players, and I'm on my own. And I thought, okay, I didn't quite plan this, And so I thought, what do I do? I thought I'd do what you always do when you're in doubt or in trouble. Just focus on the work and just give your heart to the work.
Yeah.
And this brief came in for one poster.
So it's Quality Street, the big one.
Yeah, they kept the big ones. They launched every year. I think it's just before whenever it was. I think Easter or something like that. So they put them out every year. So they do one poster every year, but it would usually end up hardly. Anyway, so I thought, right, I'm going to do the classic sort of Tim Delaney thing of turning this brief for one ad into 300 or so. It's big. I'm just going to think big, right?
Yeah.
So and I landed this idea. I think the first one I drew was a tramp on a bench and he's using it as a blanket. Right. So I drew that. That's quite sweet. And then I got that, put it on the wall. I thought, that's it. And then I just did loads. I started drawing loads, and we ended up just picking the best four. And
quick question on it then, because time is running out, and I'm always interested in this. Did you draw them as they were shot? Are you that
up until recently? I kept the original drawings, very much so, yeah. And when I came up with that idea and started putting them on the wall, I instantly thought of Dave Stewart. I thought Dave Stewart's going to fucking.
So then, when you met Dave, sorry to interrupt you, did you then collaborate and kick it around, or did you say no? I want it to be like this?
I kicked it around a bit, but Dave Stewart, I knew that I could have given it to Dave Stewart and not even shown up on the shoot. And he'd have got it right. And he was brilliant. So the guy picking up the big thing, for example, Dave, we did little tricks. Like Dave made his head 5% bigger in post. And you can see it, and it just makes it more comical, and it makes it read better. But it's just, he was great. And the little angle and the horizon line that holds the poster at the top there, you see just a little bit of that cropping.
Did you shoot, was it all in camera? Was those
all in camera?
Except for the 5% head.
All in. Yeah, except for the 5%.
So did you have a model maker? Tell me about the wrappers.
We made the wrappers, and it was quite tricky. We had to make, because you had to get client approval. But of course, it helped us out a lot, because essentially we're going to go, hang on, this is a great big product shot. It's a great big logo. It's
but there was
which helped us get away with no colour. You see in the,
Didn't someone somewhere? So I'm sorry I have to say this, because sort of like all the crap that comes in now. Someone go, "Oh, we're going to be like a Litterberg brand." It's like.
Do you know? It just went.
Did anyone ever say
they
that?
didn't. It went, do you know something? I'm going to.
You'd have that now.
And I'm going to tell you this now. It's gone like. That was one of the easiest. It's always the best things, the easiest things you ever do. It's like
good.
Bang, an idea. It's like just don't touch the walls.
I mean, I absolutely love it. Again, the simplicity, but it's very graphic. It's very you.
Yeah,
It makes me think. If you go back to Levi's, all your work has this sort of.
Well, interestingly enough, here's the thing about crafting, right? Is I think that's what's lost in art direction now. They think it's typography, or they think it's picking. I don't know what they think it is, but you don't see anyone. Because I would get a layout pad and draw it and then go, no, he's better just a 2 inches that way, or a centimetre, or no, that's better. The proportions of those, I could show you the original drawings. They're pretty much the same.
If you've got them, we'd love to put them on the site.
One of the things I love about this, and kind of going full circle to what we talked about at the beginning, is these layouts could be a frame from a comedy film, and this is where this the whole idea here.
So it's slightly super real.
Yeah,
it was a mixture of absolute reality, the train there and the guy looking at the. But that was bouncing off a story about a leaf on the line. British Rail stopping for a leaf on the line.
Yeah,
so that was sort of play on that.
No, it's the wrong type of leaves now. That's what
when you look at it though, but it's that thing with great posters. You look at it and you go, oh yeah, of course. Of course you'd do that. It just looks effortless. But I imagine. There's so much work that's gone into it.
I tell you what though, because after that I became creative director. Then I gave the brief to a team. I didn't do it myself. Gave it to a team, and it was what were the team? They'll come back to me in a minute. I feel bad. I don't remember the names. But they did fucking brilliant campaign. I mean, it was better than this one, and all it was again the big pink triangle is back, and it didn't have the wrapper there, or it was just a big quality street at back, but it had a bloke like in an office situation, like a lab situation, but he's just looking a bit guilty. He's just sitting there like that, but he's just covered in chocolate, chocolate everywhere, all over, like he's eating a giant, like a huge.
Funny.
And they were brilliant. And Dave Stewart was up for shooting it, but the client wouldn't let us do it.
Oh,
they've got a new client in who had the hump a bit with the agency, and just even up to the point where said, "I'll shoot him for nothing." Dave was going to do the whole thing, because Mark Denton went and shot little films of them. And
yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
But these are the things that remain. Right, we're running out of time, so we've got Stella and your film poster to talk about. I think we've talked about the film poster quite a lot at the top of the show, so maybe we just finish on the Stella work. These are. I just have to read this out because it was. I think it's from D&AD. It's just 4%, isn't it? That was the brief, right?
Yeah, they brought out 4%. But they were in trouble because
tax thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, remember Stella at the time were going through a lot of troubles, which led up to us lose sort of the account going. Did we lose it? We didn't really. It kind of went. It had to, but because it had wife beater and it had bad name.
Yeah.
And they'd sold it down the line. To be honest, they'd been selling premium lager. They'd been selling it. There was an ad. There was a point at which you could buy it at Tesco cheaper than water. They'd sold it down the line really.
There was a tax reason for them switching down to 4, there wasn't there? Because budget came out and the premium lagers were getting super taxed. So so all of the big lagers brought out the 4%.
I didn't know that. Amazing. Yeah, I didn't know that. And so they brought out a lighter one.
So you just focused on beautiful graphic simplicity of bigging up the 4% within the logo. I mean, they're just ace because there's no website or hashtag or real logo. It just says Artois.
Yeah, and there's a couple of creatives that were really implemental in this. And Patrick McLennan was one. I mean, he was really very single-minded and was very strong, because I saw this work and I was kind of like, I felt it needed an end line, and I remember writing a few end lines to go on it. But he was kind of like, don't fuck it up, just leave it. And I was like, yeah, cool, okay, we can do that. It's art. And so he was really good like that. Credit to him.
Someone pushing Ed Morris back.
Well, yeah, and I took it. I thank credit to him and credit to me. Like, there isn't an end line on him, and then of course, the typography, is. It's for Dave Towers, who was amazing, and I'd only just got him in.
Really?
Yeah. So literally, Dave was, young typographer.
That's nice.
I know, and I'd only just got him in, and I knew he was good.
Yeah.
But he hadn't done his best work, not by a mile. But I knew he was good. Quite a little. I think he's not Brummie. Where is he? Somewhere up north, one of those places. That's and he's a very modest guy.
Yeah.
And this brief came in, and I said to him, it ain't going to get much better than that. That's like, if these get in the book, it's going to be because of you. So you better sort of,
no pressure.
Yeah, work your first bollocks off kind of thing. And he did.
He delivered. I mean,
and Simon Morris, of course, was genius. Really fucking good. Yeah. Really, really good. So I think Simon Morris's brilliant sort of art directional eye and typographic sense, with a bit of Dave Towers, kicking it into the back of the net. Yeah. Patrick behind it, making sure it doesn't go. I mean, it was, it was good. They were great.
Yeah. No, it's They again, I think they're not worthy of people putting them on their walls.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's another great thing, by the way, of the poster. It's one of those things, when they're good, you want to keep one.
Yeah.
It's like that.
We're heading out of time, which is good. We've done a really good job there. What do we do now? We just do this last little bit, do we?
Yeah.
Should we do favourite billboard, or favourite billboards, or favourite campaign? Do you have one for us?
Oh, there's loads that come to mind, but the one that stands out is Tim Riley's split posters, man. For John Smith.
Yeah.
How do you I remember seeing those and I remember seeing those and just going, oh my God. I think I saw them on the street before I got into advertising, or just when I was it was just when I was trying to get very early on into advertising. I just saw them and I just thought, you're just crucified by them, because you just look at them and you go, even if I get into advertising, even if I'm a genius, even if I spend 30, 50, 100 years in it, I'm not going to beave that.
Yeah, because
not going to beat
the
that.
lines are great, but then it's a technique. But then it's really funny.
Did you listen to his episode?
No, I haven't.
Have a listen back. And everyone else, if you haven't heard the story, it's brilliant.
He says it's
Mad Magazine, wasn't it?
Exactly. It's Mad Magazine, and he showed us on it. He brought it in where he
had the book.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm pleased you've said that, because you're the second person who hasn't said economist. So that's really good. Yeah. And what's the last thing we always ask? We always ask about tips.
Tips, yeah. Obviously, you've played many roles in the advertising world and produced some amazing out-of-home creative. what tips would you give to kind of young creatives coming
I
out?
do this a lot, and I've
get
got,
into our space.
Yeah, I've got a list of tips that I write to young people just constantly because the older I get in it, and with advertising behind me, especially, I've been directing for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just moved by young people and their sensitivity and their openness and their spiritedness, and I'm constantly thinking about how I can help young people more and more. And the lovely thing about shooting now is I use young people around me because it's great to just enable them, you know.
Yeah.
And I would say that we as creatives, we like to think that the work is the legacy that we leave, but it's not. Actually, just be nice to people. And you know, and make the day fun and enjoyable, and be polite and civil to other people. Yeah. Because if there's anything that, you know, I did a strange thing that not many people do. I gave up advertising when I was at the peak of it, and I was earning a shitload of money and had awards being thrown at me and campaign, you know, creative director of the year, all that kind of stuff in campaign. But actually, what's fueled my journey as a director more is just the people that I was nice to, because people have come back and said, "Yeah, we'd like to work with you again," or you know, So
that's a good,
you know, scatter petals along the path behind you, you know, and make it easy for people.
Yeah, no, I think that's,
you know,
that's nice.
Yeah, that's
and I think you said a couple of things as we were going through as well, you know, kind of when you get into the work, like on the Levi's work, you know, you sit there and you just try and shut everything else off, and you get into the brief response mode, folding a piece of paper, doing the basics, going back to the basics.
Yeah.
Such a good tip for people when they're kind of trying to nail a brief.
Well, it's that old thing: look after you, and look after the work, and the work will look after the rest.
Yeah,
just focus on that. And I saw teams go down because they seem to be involved in everything other than that. Yeah. The politics, the drinking afterwards, rubbing up to the creative director, the social thing, helping the creative director out with little bits and pieces that weren't that important.
I remember a bit of advice you give me, which I actually gave to other people now, which was like your answer to yourself, then your partner, then your creative director, then the account man, then the, you know, and it was really interesting because I remember sometimes, if Adam was away or was on, like the account man would come in and go, "Hey mate, can we have a little chat about this thing?" And then before you know it, you're doing something they said, and then your partner's come back and go, "Why have you done that?" Going, the account man called the client, and you going, your thing was,
that's
treat
right.
yourself.
He did Red Stripe on his own.
Yeah.
Well, I think that another important thing is you've got to answer to yourself. I think you've got to write for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with advertising. That it saddens me a little bit now. As you see it, or any bad advertising of any time, is you look at it and you kind of go, what were they doing that day? Yeah. You know, like what was the kind of what were they getting out? Where's the nourishment in that? Yeah. A day spent doing that?
Were they having a bad day?
Yeah. But I also think that about films and books. Sometimes
completely.
And I think that is what inspires people like yourself to go, right, fuck it.
Well, I'm incredibly grateful to advertising when I look back. I'm not one of those kind of, it's not the same as it used to be, because it helped me as a young person make sense of the day.
Well, it's a great training because you can take that into any other creative
completely
world. Right, we've got to start.
We've got to wrap it up. So thank you very much for coming in. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, good. And the sun's out. It's a better day.
Sun's out. We
see.
There you go. Get somewhere.
Lovely, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you again to our amazing guest and to my pod pal, partner in crime, Hugh, for today. Please make sure that you subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. Keep listening and liking us on social, and we'll see you next time.